All right, guys, and now we're going to get into the contents of today's episode 54. Remember, this is a 4-part series on how to prevent objections using NLP. Last week, if you didn't listen, go back and listen to episode 43. We went over the birthplace of objections, where objections actually come from. And the first one that we went over is poor sales frameworks. A lot of times people are using the completely wrong sales framework. And just this by itself is actually creating objections that you feel a need to have to learn how to overcome, which then we had learned just creates more sales pressure, buying resistance, and creates an adversarial effect that we do not want on our sales calls. On part 2, today, what we're going to go over is not creating the gap map, not creating the gap. Remember, guys, you have to instill this into your brain in sales. No gap, no sale. Same thing in the setting process. If you're not creating the gap in your setting process to book calls, then it's going to be very hard for you to actually get someone to want to get on the call. And you always want to be able to clear pain, obstacles, and possibilities when setting. Today, we're going to get a little bit more depth here on the sales call and going through the 10 clarities. There's a saying by Tony Robbins that I absolutely love. It's resonated with me for the last 4 or 5 years. It's this very easy to understand concept. Vision drives decision. Again, vision drives decision. Without getting clarity of where they currently are, but prefer not to be, and their desired state, where they want to be, and not getting crystal clear using the 10 clarities in order to create this gap, then it's going to be very hard to move people forward in solving their painful problem, especially if you have a high ticket offer. Now, when we're creating the gap, all right, it is very clear. Point A is pain. Point B is possibility. And we first want to start by clearing pain. It should be the very first question that you ask. Before we do this, I want to break down exactly what is holding people back. They have 3 major false beliefs. They cannot see past this brick wall. These false beliefs have been blocking their vision of who they want to become and how they can become it for so long they can't actually see out into the future their desired state. And so through this process of getting the 10 clarities, we're going to help reframe and acknowledge some of their false beliefs. Next week, we will go in depth on the 3 major false beliefs, the internal, the external, and the false belief about the unique opportunity that they have. The further we create the gap, or when we leverage COI, cost of inaction, the easier it is for the lead prospect to self-quantify the value of actually moving forward in their life. Now, they have a vehicle for change. It's the vehicle that they've been getting in for a very, very long time. The problem is that vehicle's not very comfortable. It doesn't get good gas mileage. It doesn't have air conditioning. The sound system sucks, and it's just breaking down. Like, yeah, you'll get there, but what if it's another 3 to 5 years from now? See, your vehicle for change is going to get them there a lot quicker, faster, easier, better fuel mileage. It's going to be more comfortable, and your unique opportunity will allow them to become the person that they want to be without having to wait forever. Now, when we are clearing pain, it's the very first question that we want to ask after our introduction. We must get crystal clear on the pain. I like to ask this question with, how are you currently feeling most stuck, Miss Jones, in solving this particular problem? So if it was weight loss or fat loss, I'd simply ask him, Miss Jones, on your application, you said you're really struggling losing to 40 to 50 pounds. Where are you currently feeling most stuck at accomplishing this goal? And that's going to dig up pain. Now, any single time that we dig up pain, I always want you to remember there's 4 parts to digging pain. We must get 1, the cause or the root cause of the pain. What's causing the pain? 2, we must get the duration. 3, we must get the impact or the consequences of that pain. And by asking them those 3 questions, we're going to help them feel the pain. Again, if this was fat loss, I would ask them a question when I'm digging into the pain. Ms. Jones, can you tell me about a time when you looked down at the scale and you first noticed this problem? So take them back into time when this first became a problem in their life and have them explain that story to you. The next thing that we want to uncover are the obstacles. So again, guys, we're going through the 10 clarities here. We want to get absolute crystal clear clarity of all of these points here because vision drives decision. It will also allow you not to pitch into a smokescreen. When you have maximum clarity, that is when we then transition into the pitch. After we dig pain, the duration, the cause, the impact, and we help them feel the pain, we then want to get into the obstacles preventing them from moving forward. When you're clearing obstacles, you want to get into what's called the obstacle clearing cycle. There's usually more than just one thing or obstacle or challenge that's holding them back. So don't just get one obstacle after they explain to you that they're binge eating at night and they do really well from 9 to 5, but after they get home, they're constantly in a cupboard eating treats and snacks. Ask them what else is holding you back and continue to get more clarity on what the obstacles are. You want to get about 3 or 4 of these if you can. Next, we want to get doubt. Can they or can they not fix this problem on their own? What's stopping you from getting to where you want to go on your own, Ms. Jones? We can ask what's called a rationale question. A rationale question sounds like, and you have to ask in a curious tonality, Ms. Jones, can you explain to me kind of the logic decision-making tree here besides behind wanting to work with an online coach instead of doing what you're doing now? And if they say, no, I'm not doing anything now, then you just simply ask, well, why not? And hit them with a power pause and let them explain to you why they're not doing anything. A rationale question is used so they explain to you how they think about wanting to work with you, a coach or a mentor. It's used to prevent I need to think about it objections. So getting clarity of doubt is highly important. Finances. We want to be able to get their willingness to do something different than what they've been doing before. There's a lot of ways to get clarity of their finances, but you can't just come out and ask them, how much money do you got? That ain't going to work. One of the methods that I really like when it comes to fitness and nutrition coaching is called the FASTER method. FASTER stands for fast food, alcohol, stimulants, which is like coffee, T is treats, E is entertainment, and R is restaurant. You're going to get clarity. And guys, I have the script for this. I'm going to put the script for this inside the description of the show notes today. You can download this, get the script so you can see how to do this play by play. But what you're going to do is get an account of their lifestyle and their habits. You're going to pull out a calculator and you're going to get clarity of how much are they spending on a weekly basis on fast food, alcohol, coffee, treats, entertainment, and restaurants. You're then going to multiply that number times 4 weeks. That's going to give you how much they spend a month. Then you're then going to take that number and multiply it by 12 months, and you'll know roughly how much they're spending a year. You're going to find that people are spending $750 to almost $1,000 a month, $10,000 to $12,000 a year on things that are actually moving them further away from their goals, which is insane. And we're going to hold on to this number for if there is a financial objection at the end, we're going to bring this number back up and we're saying, Ms. Jones, would it be reasonable to reallocate some of the money that you're spending on moving yourself further away from your goals? And I don't mean like get rid of all of it. I don't want you to live a boring life, but just reallocate some of that spend towards something that would move you closer to your goals. The other way, if you're in health or fitness or wellness, or you're a life coach, to get clarity of finances is to ask them about their stress levels when it comes to finances and relationships. So we want to pre-frame this. So we'd say something on the lines like, Ms. Jones, here at company XYZ, we realize that the number one cause of people being unhealthy and overweight is stress. We also realize that the biggest 2 areas of stress in people's lives are usually finances and relationships. how are things going there? And get them to open up about their financial situation and their relationship situation, which will then allow you the clarity to help prevent financial and spousal objections. It's just a very easy frame to use in order to get people to open up instead of just simply stating, well, this is a very expensive ticket offer. Do you have enough money in order to afford it? Like, we can never do that. Next, we want to get clarity of their support system. The way that I do this is very simple. We want to get clarity through a confused or curious tonality. Miss Jones, who's currently supporting you on this journey to become in the best health and shape of your life? Oh, what's their name? Oh, Jim. How does Jim feel about you being in the best health and shape of your life? Like, how does Jim actually feel about that? Now, that is a completely different question than asking, do you have a husband? Does your husband support you? Of course, their husband or significant other supports them. That's what people do in the relationships. They support each other. But asking them, how does Jim feel about you being in the best health and shape of your life is a completely different question. Because Jim might feel like he doesn't actually believe that she can get it done. And there's a massive difference between support and belief. Jim might feel that she used an in-person trainer in the past and she got amazing results. And then she started going to the gym and getting hit on, and Jim got super jealous because his wife is now looking better than ever. And it created all this argument and turmoil in the relationship. Jim might feel that she hired a nutrition coach before, a dietitian or registered nutritionist, and they had her eat like a bird. And so she started cooking food that Jim didn't want to eat. And Jim wanted to have his friends over on Sundays to watch a football game, but he couldn't have beer and wings and hamburgers and pizza because his wife was not able to eat any of those things. And it created conflict in their relationship. See, that's completely different than asking, who's supporting you? It's not the question that we're asking. Who's supporting you on this journey to be the best health and shape of your life? Oh, got it. What's their name? Jim. Oh, well, how does Jim feel about you being in the best health and shape of your life? Completely different question. We want to get clarity of timing. Are you looking to do this now, later? You kind of sort of hoping one day that this is going to happen? Or are you looking to get going now? Coachability. This is a huge one. This is one of the best ways to help close someone when they have doubt or they don't trust themselves. I've never had anyone ever tell me that they're not coachable. People just don't admit to that. So one thing that I ask before I pitch people is, are you coachable? Oh, well, that's awesome. I love working with people that are coachable, because coachable people who are action takers, those are the ones that get all the results within our program. If you're coachable, man, then you have nothing to worry about. You're going to knock this out of the park and help align their identity positively to being someone who's an action taker, who's reasonable, who's intelligent, who's coachable, because those are the types of people that actually go and do the work and get the result. And lastly, we have to understand trust. Do they trust themselves in order to get this done? Now, there's also called the Trinity of trust. They have to trust you, they have to trust your company, and they have to trust your product or service. If they do not trust, they do not buy. So the last thing that we're going to get is clarity of possibility. What does it look like when they finally do hit their goals? We want to get clarity of their desired state, their core desires. This is usually the last question that I ask before I summarize everything that I heard. I acknowledge them for showing up on the call and being vulnerable and asking permission to pitch. One way of doing this is very simple. It's a hypothetical question. Ms. Jones, let's say that a year from now, we're sitting down, we're having brunch together. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining. What would have to have happened both professionally and personally for you to feel like this was the best decision that you ever made? Like, what would have to have happened? And have them explain back to you what would have to have happened working with you for them to feel like this was the best decision that they ever made. When you're able to get these 10 clarities, guys, and it does not take that long. Your call shouldn't be 90 minutes long in order to do this. Again, through practice, through getting a mentor, through getting a sales coach, through understanding how to ask these questions properly with the proper tonality, confused, curious, challenging, concerned, and playful. When you're able to connect the right tonality to the right question, these questions will hit the emotional target. This will also start us off with point A, pain, where they currently are, but they prefer not to be. Remember, pain is the first thing that we're going to dig. It will also give us point B, their desired state, where they want to be. This is why we ask the possibility question last before we transition into our pitch. When you get all of these clarities, you will not pitch into a smokescreen. You will then be able to tailor your pitch to their needs, wants, and desires using the words that they used. Ms. Jones, remember when you said, well, that's why we do this, this, and this in step 1. And remember how you told me, well, that's why we created phase 2 of this program, because it's going to help you solve that exact problem. And remember how you were really struggling with accountability and getting these results for a long time? Well, that's why we created step 3. And when you have these clarities and then you pitch your offer, you can connect it to and tailor it to the person that they want to become, therefore making the decision to move forward a lot easier for them. Guys, I have created a script called Cold to Closed Sales Script. If you guys need that script, it shows you how to create connection, how to create engagement, how to transition, how to pitch your offer, how to ask the proper closing questions, and how to disarm objections if they happen. Then just simply go to the show notes and download the resource. You got to fill out a quick form. You'll be able to download the PDF and start using this script on your calls immediately. But again, you need to be able to go to your Google Calendar, practice this stuff. You need to say it out loud, not just in your head, and memorize the concepts, the strategies, and the tactics needed. So when you get on your call, you are in the mindset of a world-class doctor. You know what to say, you know how to handle and disarm objections and close more deals. So guys, that is the conclusion of part 2 of how to prevent objections using NLP. Next week, we will go over the false beliefs. We'll go over the organization and hierarchy of how to deal with objections. And guys, I simply want to remind you, go out there and circle the W and win today.